President and Managing Director of Post 10 Worldwide. Miss Arlene, thank you for coming.
Hello, Cesar.
Thank you for
Cesar,
coming. Yes.
good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to be here with you and with you guys.
Okay, we are very excited because, of course, marketing is one of the favorite topics of entrepreneurs and marketers. We are looking, as I mentioned earlier in my introduction, 2018 is a very dynamic year.
Yes,
so,
it is.
what's the next wave for marketing? Let's go straight to the point. So, what do we expect in the coming months and in the coming year?
Well, as you can see, Philippine Marketing Association has been so engaged, and we have committed to assist the government in terms of helping out our micro, small, medium entrepreneurs. We are very much involved with the Kapatid Mentor Me program, and we're very much involved with the mentorship and coaching in the Go Negosyo centers. So we really see that there is going to be a boost in entrepreneurs, learning to be better in terms of marketing their own products and services. We see an explosion of employees making a leap to become an entrepreneur, especially so when you see that 54% of our population they're millennials. And millennials, they don't want to be controlled.
Oh.
They want to explore life, they want to do this, they want to do that. And a lot of them really wanted to be entrepreneurs.
Okay.
And what is good about it is that it is now crossing all boundaries and crossing all studies. Either you're a doctor, you're an engineer, people are wanting to learn about marketing.
Wow, that's interesting. Miss Arlene talked about the two things that I already immediately picked up there is one, support for the small, medium enterprises, and the millennials going into business. Let's talk first with the first one. When you say support to the government in terms of micro, small, medium enterprises, what exactly would be this collaboration between the marketing organization and the government?
So what is good about us being involved in that? The Philippine Center for Entrepreneurs and the Go Negosyo through DTI, they have this massive campaign now on Mentor Me on Wheels and the mentoring sessions that's happening nationwide. And what we provide them are our professionals, our members, our volunteers, sharing their knowledge, their experience to the little brothers who are starting to come up with their own businesses, anything that they would need in terms of clarity, in terms of branding, the 4 P's of marketing, we talk to, sometimes we're able to talk to farmers when you're deployed to, let's say, Iligan or Osamis or Bukidnon. You get to talk to a lot of people. And it's so nice that, last year, we've been told, based on the developments of the Kapatid Mentor Me program, we were able, the group was able to have about 240,000 graduates of micro small.
Wow.
From that particular program. Just imagine the impact that it would have year on year as they continue to grow in terms of their knowledge, equipping them with their marketing skills, and trying to build them up to really develop the business that they have started.
Yeah, speaking of I think I heard about Go Negosyo, you mentioned about that, and of course I heard I think that was in the one of the conferences of ASEAN when ASEAN was held here. Mr. Joey Concepcion was talking about the 3 M's: money, market, and mentorship.
Yes.
So is this the thrust? Are you focused more on the mentorship part of trying to help the entrepreneurs?
Yes, it's more on the mentorship part in marketing. But there are members of the Philippine Marketing Association that can go beyond, so they can cover money as well. So it depends on the core competency and the dedication and the focus of the members who have volunteered. Basically, we have more than 300 members, 500 members nationwide that is committed to sharing their knowledge. There is even a member or an Agora awardee who actually funded
Wow.
They really gave a small amount. It's really small. Not
Yeah,
that-
but of course it's not the amount, but
It's not
it's
the
the
amount, it's
thought
the
and it's your
gesture.
yes.
because they really got so convinced that this particular micro entrepreneur really needed, and they saw the beauty of the product, and they believed in it, and they invested.
Wow. Assuming I'm a mentor, I'm watching now and I want to be mentored. What would the steps that I would do? Who do I call, you know?
Well, number one, you have to
Okay.
get in touch with DTI because
Okay.
they're the one who does the screening process, and they have
Okay.
this yung the program itself,
Okay.
the modules. They're the ones who pre-screen, select, and ensure that you go through the process of learning, and then or you can go through the Mentor Me on Wheels. You know,
Okay.
I believe there's going to be in Cebu and in I have another one in MOA soon.
Okay. That's Mentor Me on Wheels, meaning
Mentor-
there is a car who goes around and what
No,
happens?
actually, it's not the car, but you know, the mentors who really converge
Okay.
together in a particular place. More often than not, it's in an SM mall,
Okay.
and the mentors are encouraged to go there instead of, you know, for a quick consultation
Wow.
with the mentors from different. You have Agri, you have from the Philippine Marketing Association, and PCCI, etc. AFI, you know, every aspect of the business. And what is good about it is that there's a collaboration from the different organizations. It's not just PMA, but the other associations have actually embarked into ensuring that there's a prosperity for alliance.
That's great. And then I remember you talking about millennials. So you
Yes.
said millennials are very hard to control. I noticed that because I have, kid millennials. I have two
have
sons.
two.
Okay. So it's not that they are really hard to control, but
Yes.
they have their own quirks and they have their own plans, and sometimes you cannot easily mess up with their plans, and sometimes they are the ones who are now actually recommending a lot of things that you
Yes.
have to do, like from travel opportunities to
Where
the
to
food.
eat.
Yes.
Yes.
So, how can you expound more on this millennial market? You specifically said since they are harder now to control, they don't necessarily want to get employed, but they want to put up their own, which is a good thing. So
Yes.
can you expound more on that, Miss Arlene?
Well, I have to agree with you. I also have millennials within my family.
Okay.
I have 3 of them. And they really are growing to be, wise, mature, and better consumers.
Yes.
Better
And you mentioned that, I think, a certain percentage earlier.
54%
Wow.
of our population.
Okay,
are
that's more than
millennials.
half. Okay.
Yes, and you see, with the advent of technology and our being connectedness, I heard that the updated number now is 70 million
Wow.
of Filipinos are connected online.
Okay.
We don't go online when we used to be, diba?
Correct.
Now we live online.
Yes.
You sleep with your phone beside you.
Definitely, I have 2 of them. Both. Yes, both
So
phones.
it's really, everybody is so connected, and we're all living in that particular life where we just cannot detach, disconnect. And in this day and age, the previous 4 P's have evolved to 4 E's. Yung diba, yung tinuturo sa atin,
Okay.
like you talk about 4 P's. That's price, product, promotion, and place.
Okay.
And now it has evolved. When you talk to millennials, when we were younger, admit it, Cesar.
We are still young.
We're
Okay.
still young. We're
Okay.
younger now.
Okay.
When we want to eat somewhere, we just go.
That's right.
All right, this is a new restaurant, we just go. And we normally hear about feedbacks from a few of our friends. But the millennials now, because of our connectedness, because they are online 24/7, they review.
Okay.
What's the review of the food, the venue, the parking? So all of them have that innate action already. It's automatic. When you talk about a new product, when you talk about a new place, the first thing that they jump into is Google.
Yes.
Who is this?
Yes.
What do I find here? And so people are so connected, it's so easy to get feedback. So that's where
So they will not just take your word
Correct.
as it is.
Correct.
What's the idiom there? Hong, ano, line and sinker, you know.
Hindi ko
Oh,
So
it's,
now, from the
okay.
four P's, it has evolved to 4 E's. you
Or
know?
E's.
You
Okay,
have
this
to
is
talk
interesting. What is this? What's the first E?
So, diba yung product before. But now, you just don't talk about your product or service. You talk about experience.
Okay,
When
that's the
you,
very first one.
Yes,
Okay.
experience. How do you get through? No, and when you talk about experience, it's not just from the time you research them, you get the product, even if it's after sale, and even if it's after sales. How quickly do you reply to their emails, their feedback, your return to sender if it's something that is
That's right.
into delivery, or simply how do you, let's say if it's your place, how are you giving them the experience in terms of the ambiance,
Correct.
the scent,
Correct.
and the memory that they would be able to bring? And are you Instagrammable? That's part of the experience.
Okay. In short,
Oo.
if they have a bad experience, marketers
So
will
easily.
immediately fail
Correct, yes.
because a bad experience means loss of business.
Correct.
Okay, what's the next E?
E is like, say, from price, it's now exchange.
Okay, which means
Which means that you don't talk about benefits anymore. If it's the value that you give, your product or service, what's the value that you can give to the consumer, your target consumer? So it's more of that. They don't talk about anymore. They remember, the value. I need this, my friends, etc.
so whether it's cheap or it's expensive, but it's the value that it gives to them.
correct.
Okay.
So and then
So during our time, whatever
Ay,
is
nako. Whatever is
cheaper, that's
what's
good.
available,
Okay,
that's
okay.
all we are okay. Especially when you're living within a very small means, di ba?
That's right. And I agree with that because right now we heard, I think in the past in the previous episodes of Open for Business, we talked about millennials investing in art, which
Yes.
we didn't
We
see
didn't understand
before.
before.
Yes, but this time, because they have a bigger purchasing power, and they buy condos now. You have a condo, you have to have a good painting.
Correct. For a
Okay.
sculpture.
Exactly. What's the next E we have?
For a place, of course, when you talk about place, that's actually your distribution points. So now you have to look into things like, you just don't have to be in one place. You have to be in every place. Which means that you have to go into the jump into the bandwagon of e-commerce. When you put yourself out there in the market, sabi nga nila, before when we were younger again,
Okay,
when you need something, let your fingers walk.
that's right.
That's yellow
That's
pages.
why we have yellow pages.
That's yellow pages. You look for them. Now you have to
Hopefully, our viewers can relate.
Yes,
No?
I
Okay.
think, I hope. The yellow pages is a listing of all companies, alphabetically arranged.
Yes, and it's actually color yellow.
Color yellow. So now you have to be in every place, being able to deliver. But even before you're able to deliver that and be in e-commerce, they say that when you're not in the net, when they cannot find you there, your business does not exist.
Exactly. That's right.
So to ensure that your business is enlisted into, you don't need to be having a website if it's just a small, but you have to have your company listed in Google My Business, which is free.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you don't have to necessarily have an e-commerce business.
Platform, yes.
It's sometimes because when you go into a social media site, when you go into a website, sometimes there are choices there.
Yes.
Is it an e-commerce business? No, sometimes it's just the presence.
Yes.
As long as they can Google you and it
And
appears and find you, that's it.
Hey, you
And
exist.
that's right. We have 2 more E's.
No, one more.
One more E.
The last E is you have to build your own, what's this? Evangelists.
Okay.
Evangelism. So
Yes.
before you talk about, promotions, it's not just promoting. You have to be able to create your own followers and advocates. How do you do that? Of course, by becoming true to every point and factors that you have defined from the start. The word of mouth is very powerful nowadays.
Yes.
We
Meaning
may
they
not
should
talk, but your social media talks, Instagram talks, Twitter talks, and it's so easy to be building a, it's so easy to have your reputation or brand really affected by a very bad tweet.
That's right.
Diba?
That's right.
So, yeah, you have to create your own advocate so that in these times, you have people who will fight for you. They would justify, etc., etc. So, and they do the selling on your behalf. They promote you.
Yes. And in short, you have to build a following that really believes in your product
And service.
and service.
Yes.
Miss Arlene, you were telling me about the importance of social media and following them, and this somehow should to create a following, and this somehow translate to having a good base. Look, I read this because like a simple discussion like this would make you reach the world.
Yes.
We are not just being watched in the Philippines, but we are watched all over the world. So how would this phenomenon affect marketing in a specific locality? How can this help marketers to be really globally competitive and be able to also absorb what other marketers in other parts of Asia or the world, how would they maximize this phenomenon?
Daming tanong, diba? Naubos. No joke. This is really a huge opportunity for micro small to go large scale.
Okay.
Okay. They really have to take the opportunity of being connected, and actually our being connected through Google or whatever allows us our products to reach out. It's just that you have to identify which, if you really want to go digital and e-com, you have to identify what platform you're gonna use. It's not just, box and dice, oh, I have an email, I have a website, okay na yan. No. You don't do that. You go through a process wherein you really have to understand. Again, you go back, who's your target market? And how do you want to reach them? And what is the best platform or avenue for you to be able to grow your products and services? How do you reach them? Is it going to be Kasi ngayon, everything has to be Instagrammable. But the question there, I always post my mentees is that, how do you make service Instagrammable? Service. Imbis na product, you have a service. But
Yes.
how do you do that? So who can do the Instagram for you would be your advocates. So in this day and age where everything is so easily uploaded, fake news is all around. The first thing that I always tell them is, you have to be BAR, B-A-R. Okay, you have to be authentic and real.
Okay.
So how do you make your customers anywhere in the world, anywhere in the region, anywhere in the Philippines, how do you make them feel you are authentic? By being able to deliver every promise that you did, you have given, and whatever you say, you do. You still do. A lot of us kasi, we see a lot of complaints. Facebook, Instagram, I was promised this, it was never delivered, and those are fake. And if you really want to grow your business, you have to be real, you have to be authentic, you have to be very honest with your customers.
That makes me pose this question, because we also, based on the discussions again with some thought leaders, authenticity and being real, especially now in the age of social media, also changes the way things are presented.
Yes.
Before, again, during our time, there has to be a very, very good lighting. You have to buy the most expensive camera. You have to buy, the most expensive gadget for you to do it. But this time, if you are authentic, if you are real, even if the lighting is bad, or the light hits my forehead and it's so shiny, but as long as you deliver pure content that is shareable, it becomes viral.
And people will feel your honesty and authenticity. They would know. They have a way of knowing. Diba? Whether you like
That's
it or
right.
not, I can tell you a fake news now with all Diba, square face, I'm serious. But people will know. In less than a day, they would know if you're telling a lie or telling the truth. And when they realize you're telling the truth.
So my question is that a changing behavior? Is that what marketers should also look out for? How the changing consumer behavior?
Yeah, as a marketer, we never should let go of our initiative to keep on researching. You have to be sensitive to the changes of time. How the market changes, how the market reacts to a particular advertisement that you have, or a tweet, or an Instagram, or a Facebook social post that you did. You have to be very sensitive to the changes. And you have to be very active in such a way that you just don't react. You have to be proactive. When you see several changes, of course, as marketers, you have to evaluate performances, diba? Performance of your product. If you put an advertorial or advertisement, you have to look whether it's effective or not. Not because is flyering still effective o baka hindi na. So you always have to check if that's still effective for you. If not, you have to go to a new strategy.
Yes, you have to immediately shift.
Yes.
Which again, based on your discussion or your explanation later, what I noticed is the importance of digital marketing. Because again, I think this is one of the questions that propped up. So marketing before is really different from marketing now. So even if you are a seasoned marketer, but you are not aware of digital marketing, you are passé. That's very old school.
Correct.
What is now the importance of digital marketing in today's business?
You have to be able to engage your customers. Actually, digital is not just putting your profile and services on the net, but it's a way of engaging your customers. It's really that. It makes it easier for anyone who's going into a business or a marketer being able to get immediate feedbacks. That's something that's nice, no? Let's say you have a market survey. You don't have to send out people, diba? Below the line. You go and do a research. Unless there's something you have to do.
Correct.
The nitty-gritty.
And
you
before,
really have
that's
to
very, very
face-to-face.
expensive. That's the only...
And it's still very expensive.
Yes.
But now you can roll out your market research through the net.
And you get
it's
immediate feedback.
You get immediate feedback. And what's good about that, there are platforms which can analyze your data for you. Sometimes, kasi as marketers, one of the challenges that we have is after getting all the data, how do you explain all those? Extrapolate, interpolate, or whatever you call it, diba? And understanding them would take time. But now, with a click of a finger, you see, diba,
Yes.
graphs.
You have analytics.
Analytics.
Yes.
It's so easy to understand.
And sometimes they help you interpret it. You don't have to wait for a professional marketing researcher to interpret it for you.
And there are suggestions that they give you, what actions to take. So it's just like having your own consultant in that particular, diba, application, Sometimes lang kasi when we are a marketer or when we're an entrepreneur, we do have limited budget because sometimes this, accept it or not, applications are very expensive. But there are a lot of applications also now coming up to assist micro small. So when you pass by Makati, you will see them. And when you always Google and find some items on the net, it's there would be, you would see opportunities of applications being offered. That's
But with
a
all these,
fraction of a cost.
yeah, but with all these applications, with all these technologies, do you think, Arlene, that it's easier? Is it easier to market products and services now, or it's harder because there's a lot of competition and there's a lot of technologies to really use? What's your view?
It's harder. It's easy in terms of, reaching out to a lot of people. But it's harder because you have a lot of competitors. going into the bandwagon. And then it's difficult also when you don't have a system in place. How would you manage complaints? How do you react to, let's say, I get a lot of questions online.
Correct.
Are you quick to reply? You know, things like that. There's so many things to think about. However, if you're able to come up with, you have defined a very standard operating process and plan of action what to do, and you let your target customer see this online, they would immediately understand. At least they have a guide, and then you would be able to come up and roll out a platform with process and procedures that would be beneficial for you and your customers. Hindi ka strained kasi ang problema dyan, when you're always connected, napapagod tayo, we get stressed. You know, we get stressed. Sometimes nga tayo, why there's so many decisions to make. And I just read it, you know, our minds, not because of our age, we normally have how many decisions to make in a day? More than 100, 200. What to wear? Will I use white, blue? Will I wash? Will I take a bath or not? Will I brush my teeth or not? Every day you have a specific decision to make. And, you know, when it's compounded with social media inquiries and questions and all of those stuff, you have to make a lot of decisions.
You just gave me a different topic for the next episode, how to distress from social media. I have two more questions to ask before we thank you, Miss Arlene. The first one is, with all the with the global competition now, so what do you think would be that competitive edge for a marketer's product and service to stand out? As you mentioned earlier, you know, there's a lot of, you know, products who are offering the same thing, a lot of, you know, technologies. How would they now compete with all this? As a marketer, you own your own company, you establish your own company. I'm sure, you know, you have, you know, bigger competition. And how do you think would you be able, or an entrepreneur, make sure that a competitive edge or a unique selling proposition is developed?
We always talk about this, and isa lang ang lagi namin sinasabi. What's your relevance? If the customer is able to identify your relevance in their company or a personal product that I use, if I see that relevant for me, then I would continue using it. Now, as a marketer, you always have to know that relevance of your product or your service, because you can use that to boost, to highlight your unique selling proposition. Because majority of entrepreneurs and marketers now, they get bombarded with so many information. They want it to be unique, they want it to be this, they want it to be that, but they forgot that, are you still relevant? Diba? So whether it's a product, whether it's a service, marketers always remember the relevance, you know, diba? Keep relevance, the premium item that you have to always build up and remember, so that it's easier to talk about your unique selling proposition. Because hugot na siya, it's from the heart, you know. Because you're so your conviction is that it's hardcore conviction. I really believe this is the relevance of my product, the services and the processes that we do. This is so unique. You can only get it through our service or our product. And when you talk about that, you know, you can easily rub off your confidence, and customers will start believing in you more. The more you don't know your product, the more you get lost in this jungle of information, then it's so difficult for customer also to find you when you can't find yourself.
Nice. I wish we have more time, but I have last question to Arlene. We know that the Philippine Marketing Association really promotes excellence in marketing. So can you talk about, you know, how the Philippine Marketing Association honors and recognize the best marketers? What are the categories, and what are the things that new entrepreneurs, startups will learn from this established and recognized PMA winners?
Okay. The Philippine Marketing Association is actually the proponent of the Agora Awards. It's on its 39th year. The Agora Awards is the awards for the best marketers in the Philippines and for Filipinos abroad who's working. Now, now
So they don't necessarily have to be based in Manila.
there's a category for one
okay.
category that
Okay.
will, and for the last 39 years we have awarded the creme de la creme. The Agora Marketing is the excuse me the Oscars of marketing.
Wow, exciting.
So
And,
it's
and you
really
said it's now on its 39th year.
39th year. So we have marketing Agora Awards for outstanding marketing excellence in. Excuse me, no,
We're still live. We're in
Live.
open for business, and my question was, and we actually understand, and we follow the Philippine Marketing Association, and there's a lot of categories.
There are 9.
Oh, there's
There are
9
9.
categories. And what we appreciate about the PMA is that every year?
It's an annual event. There's a 4-stage event. So the search, and then the selection, the judging, and then the awards night. It's really a cutthroat competition. We really screen who gets in. And what
Wow.
is good about that is that we don't get to be the judge.
Wow. The
We
judges
get
are normally from...
Previous award awardees. So they know.
I
We just
see.
give them a guideline. We bring them together in one day. And they do the judging. It's so difficult. It's so beautiful in a sense that we recognize the best of the best. Marketing Company of the Year, Advocacy Marketing, we have Export Marketing, we have Marketing Communications, we have Excellence in Marketing for small,
Wow.
medium, and large entrepreneurs.
These are new ones, or this has been in existence for 39 years? Or, like say...
We evolve.
Oh, yes.
We have evolved. Before, there were only a few awards, and we started adding, let's say, export marketing, and then marketing communications. For the agency side, it's always the client side. So what about the agency side? We start overseas marketing. That's the one that
Oh, I
Filipinos
see.
working abroad.
I see. Wow.
So that's export.
So, I'd like to ask Arlene for your final message, because you said about evolving. The PMA and marketing is evolving. So, is this the kind of attitude or the behavior of a characteristic of a marketer or any entrepreneur, so that they will be globally competitive, like the ones that are honored at the Agora Awards?
Yes.
The camera is yours.
Okay. One of the things that really push for PMA and even our members and you can see clearly with our Agora winners is that innovation is a way of evolving. They're always up to date, and they're always in tune to a lot of things that's happening around them in their marketplace and their target markets. They evolve, and it is a requirement on top of being innovative, because that's to be able to meet the changing needs of time. So as a marketer, yes, you have to evolve, and you have to be innovative as well. Keep on innovating, never stop growing, never stop learning, because once you stop, then that's going to be the end of it.
That is well said. I hope we have more time to interview Miss Arlene, but hopefully she'll be back to discuss more about the marketing trends, especially before the year ends. And we'd like to thank her for coming over, but please stay with us, because our term of the week and our quote of the day, when open for business, returns. Stay tuned. Thank you very much for
Thank
coming.
you.